Come out, Jack Mara. Come out and join your mother. I backed away. Humans, not quite the monster I had just slain. Humans go down easy, or they go down hard. Monsters, there are few true Rasputins in the Outre-Terre. Find a weakness, find a cure, or find enough firepower. Wow. But a human, it's easy, but it ain't easy. There's a will, something more. It burns. Sometimes it's allowed to burn far hotter than any monster I've put to dust. Image of the Creator, if you will. If it's cultivated, if it's loved, if treated as holy, it becomes stronger. That's why artists have a chance of really burning out and dying young. The same hand that painted Jupiter paints the human experience. The only thing that can match a human will-to-will are Nephilim. I experienced it under the Rockies. Jim has talked about it with me from the tar pits. It's something more than us. Even elves can be argued away with a sufficient reserve of holiness or strength. It ain't easy. Werewolves, vampires, Mordred, and Morgana were human once, and still carry that spark if dimly. There's things, like whether or not someone is confident they can win, or trusts in the Lord to preserve them, or who knows what. I've never known a poseur to have any belief that wasn't skin deep. They know. The Horvaths are posers one and all. They love life more than righteousness. Disgusting. It's disgusting. They wouldn't have made the deal otherwise. They wouldn't have let their fellow Paranormal Pinkertons go down to their reward, and they wouldn't have put their comfort before walking rightly before the Lord. You can always quit. I wouldn't care for them 1 ounce if they had just quit. Even a pastor can quit at any time. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, but you don't exchange good for evil. So I stood up, keeping the trees between me and that witchy daughter, Mags, who put out her own eye for a basilisk's, and shouted my defiance. You cowards know me. You see the body of the questing beast I killed. I'm Jack Morrow. I've slaughtered monsters for meat. I've thrown down the temples of gods, and I've killed men greater than you. I have a belt full of ammunition, knives aplenty, and I don't quit. I'll soak the Ozarks in your blood. Is my head worth hell? The woods were silent. Grigory sputtered and coughed, but one of the flashlights around him turned. Then another. The rest followed. Grigory shouted at them. Come back! We'll pin him! We have guns too! I could see the purple glow of his daughter stalking me among the trees. I pulled out a little thing from Jim Donavan, a glove of basilisk skin. It wouldn't do for a basilisk to turn itself to stone, would it? It was poorly made, but all I had to do was cover her eye. The rest of my task would be more delicate. I led her away, making just enough sound to be noticed, but never pinned down. Grigory's voice grew hoarser as he shouted for his kin to return. "Come back! You've killed harder than him! Werewolves and vampires! Sure, he's done the same, but we've been through thick and thin!" As he wheedled them, I let Mags get closer. Now she was only a couple trees away. I could see the purple beam hit the bark of living trees, turning them to gray stone. Sometimes it got closer, not even a foot above my hair. I started to make less noise. I was confident now she couldn't see me, so long as I kept low and slow. "After all I've done for you, I made that sacrifice. I cut the deal. I put my name into the blood. You were all just going to give in. I let them take everything from us and turn us into vagabonds, wandering the outre terre. No home, no hope. I discovered what they wanted. I put my soul on the line when you couldn't even speak. This is how you repay me? You'd rather run?" Now Mags was closer. Her head was not even a foot away. Her breathing was hard, but she breathed. Her human eye was panicked, but the basilisk one was calm. She did not act like she was fighting it. Her body language spoke of the need to find. Maybe she cared I could have put bullets into her. Maybe she cared, somewhere deep down, that I had no problem killing her. Maybe all that was before the eye. Self-mutilation changes the language of how someone talks and thinks about themselves. It's a madness. It can't be changed by choice until someone repents. I can't let her keep that little trick of hers. Imagine waking up to some psycho woman staring at you until you turn to dust. No way to defend yourself. Assuming you could, assuming you even woke up, a chance meeting at a grocery store would be all it took. I could smell sweat and a hint of sulfur. Sticking a knife in her heart would solve my problem. Grigory kept going. "Wretches! You pathetic curs! I should have spilled your blood like the man said. Wish I had. At least I wouldn't be abandoned. At least I wouldn't be alone. You think I'll protect you next time? I repent of every kindness I ever did you. Curse you. Damn you! Damn you!" Come back. Mags was coming close enough for me to strike. She passed by. Her Puritan dress was torn, dirty, uncared for. Her braided hair barely kept its form. The smell got worse. She was depending on her basilisk eye. Her real one never saw me coming. I slammed the basilisk skin glove into her eye socket. The fingers barely fit. She struggled, but magical study is a poor replacement for lifting iron. I choked her unconscious. It was a mercy for what I would do in but a moment. I can only imagine the pain after waking up. Maybe less. Grigory was running through the forest. He was heading our way, but then a moment later, he was running some other way. He didn't know where we were. He had been screaming at his retreating relatives until now. Max, where are you? Don't abandon me too. I only meant it for those cowards out there. Not my own daughter. Mags, answer me. This part of the bloody work took a long moment. My scalpel was out and cutting the basilisk veins infesting her face. I had thought about this for far longer than I let on. How could I carve out an invader without killing her? Where are the important veins of the face? You could bleed out from them as easily as your neck, but for the skull bones. For my study, the labor took minutes. My fingers probed the cuts for remnants of the basilisk. I gripped the eye. I gotta give Mags credit. She woke up during the surgery and started fighting. Barely screamed. Went for my own eyes with her free hand and nearly took 'em. I used my weight to keep her down. The veins of the basilisk pulsed with pink rings. It fought me, seeking to escape. It wanted to stay within the flesh, and she wanted to keep it. It was power, and I was taking it from her. The moment came. I ripped it out. The veins wrapped my arm like they were octopus tentacles, but I had the eye in my hand, pupil against the skin. I smashed it. No chance of washing into Mag's ruined face. She'd live if she got help. She was fighting, but the blood loss wasn't going to stop on its own. I ignored her. The eye's blood burned like acid through the gaps of the glove and on my wrist. I wrung the life out of it. The veins turned to dust and blew away. With luck, that was the end of it. Mags was shivering, writhing. I picked her up. I didn't cut out her new eye without a plan to slap a Band-Aid over it. Mags fainted. I didn't know her blood type or I would have brought her a bag. Blood is life, after all. It wasn't more than a patch, but the cuts were covered by the bandages. The bleeding slowed. Who knew the young woman had so much blood? I had won over the Roman Senate. I only needed one knife. I heard Grigory crashing through the brush. He burst into sight and stopped. I was faster, and my gun was pressed against Mag's head. It took him time to make his decision. I let him think about it. He dropped his gun and slumped down. It's over. It ain't over till trumpets sound and we're caught up in the clouds. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to that. You don't understand. They'll kill me. You took the ticket, Grigory. That's what it comes down to. I can't tell you the moment. I'm not God, but at some point you crossed the line. Now I'm offering you your daughter's life in exchange for information. There might not be any point, Jack. I'm beyond... The point is that you could save the life of someone who sacrificed with you. This isn't about redemption. I could kill her and you and sleep soundly tonight. Redemption is between you and God. I don't know if you believe or if you ever believed, but consider this a wake-up call. Everything you laid your life down for has been taken from you. Grigory's eyes turned down. He was sorrowful. He wept. Your daughter's life is trickling away. Answer me carefully. Do you know what happened to my mother? Yes. Lay it out. Why, where, when, and especially who. I heard your boast. Your mother, what I saw of her, was a very strong-willed woman. She knew right from wrong and chose righteousness wherever she could. There were wear lines in her Bible. My old grandma had them for psalms. She had them on every verse calling down judgment. She may have cracked that mask for you, but never for a poor agent like me. So, September 2020, that horrible year, that month, a man approached me, white as alabaster, like he had never seen the sun. The albino wore a fine suit and laughed at me when I pulled out my gun. The laughter reached his eyes. He was amused that I thought I could kill him. At least, kill him before I heard his deal. And you see, I had to hear his deal. He talked like he knew me. Said all my kids' names, and their kids, and all the things a father hates to hear from a stranger. Just by talking. He called himself the ambassador of our goal. He showed me his sigil and his Masonic secret signs, so I would know him. I believed he was an ambassador, though I think the star is much higher than his real origin. He told me about what was happening to the rest of the Paranormal Pinkertons. Showed me the body of Jerome Colton. You never knew him, but he was hard and he died hard. I can't say the ambassador did it, but I didn't know. I couldn't know. I didn't know right from wrong or lies from truth. So he told me what he wanted me to hear. The Paranormal Pinkertons were being exterminated or turned, and I could be exterminated or turned. Me and mine. Since we all had the same secrets and did the job as a unit, I argued with him. It looked like the man was aging by the sentence. I snarled at him. Arguing with the devil can't be good for a man's soul. Did he eat yours? Get to the point. Take her legs. Tell me as we walk, or do I have to keep a gun on you? I lost when I signed the papers, Jack. I got nothing left in me. Look, he wasn't the devil, but he knew him. He was one of Jeremiah Pike's toadies. You don't get to give out tickets, as you call them, without blood on your hands. Albinos are odd, sure, but sometimes the odd comes across something that gives them an edge. He had that edge. By the end, I was beat down. He kept talking about how the old generation failed us, how we needed to be made new. Why should we die for something no one cares about? The Paranormal Pinkertons barely pay an industry wage, health insurance aside. Sure, there's bounties to be had, but Control didn't give out black folders all that often. I have mouths to feed. My parents spent all their money on cruises, RVs, and casinos. Then, when they had no more money, and I wouldn't give them any, and they killed themselves, living high on the hog and leaving none for their children. I had to pay for their funeral. The ambassador from Algol told me he'd give me 10 times what my parents wasted and more. Of course, they knew to the penny. My dad was a specialty welder, earned thousands just being called in to negotiate a contract. Never taught me anything. It was Grandpa that taught me forestry, hunting, and more, but, well, that came with a cost. I'm not my father, Jack. I'd give everything for my kin. Society's dying, and I'm not going to let my kids fall with it. The cost was worth paying. Me. That's right. At first, they just wanted a general location. Where would Control likely send you to investigate? I figured that's when you met the puppeteer. Then it was more. Where did your mother roam? Where did you lay your head? Then what I knew wasn't enough, and they told me to lay a trap. The Missouri State University Archives. Yes, they never really had me go after your mother. I'll admit to admiring her. I was introduced to her through Tom and Orion, your forefathers. A young lady who walked from Idaho to Missouri with a baby. You don't see that these days. No power in the people. No bloody wills. Psychosis. Algol didn't have to work hard to convince me to hate the world. Well, they knew I'd balk. I couldn't pull the trigger with her in my sights. I could go after you all day. No problems. Man to man. I'd look you in the eye. But killing a woman in cold blood, one that had fought beside you in Texas and Louisiana, who bandaged your guts when they were hanging out and John St. Martin was carrying you on his back. We arrived at the compound. Almost all the vehicles were gone. Had to give his family credit. They dispersed quick. Well, I couldn't do it. So instead they had me drop off a packet. Of course I read it. I know how to open things without marking them. No poison pages, no secret curses. Just knowledge. A door down into the underworld where souls that reject God await the judgment according to their merits and beliefs. The foundation of the underworld is hell, but God ain't so crass as to not deliver judgment in ways we don't understand. Those who served him without knowing are rewarded. Those who serve the devil are tormented. Those who reject him don't have to wait. He is a just God. The documents implied that on a certain date, as the stars have it, an unfortunate date, you'd be dragged to hell. Whether or not Jeremiah tore out your heart and ate it. The only way to beat it was with a propitiatory sacrifice. She'd have to go to Hades himself and argue for your life in a certain way and mitigate the curse. Here's the kicker. He'd have to grant it. And he has to entertain you buying her back as her kinsman redeemer. There's rules from heaven to the lake of fire. Anything that represents Christ has precedence over the soulless dredge. and you left it somewhere where she would find it. Yes. And she went down? Yes. She never... Jack, your mother could have been on the phone with you and stitching her guts back together with shoelaces, and she'd claim to just have a little indigestion. She did it because hell she went through as a girl made her like that. Hell comes out in the life. The more we're beaten, the more we leave God's light. The closer hell comes to us. A single good deed does wonders, but it's the life that matters. We laid Mags in a truck bed. She was breathing. Still. You're talking different. Things are clearer now, Jack. I ain't got the words, but I'll die like a man if I ever meet Algol again. I'll try to make him pay for what he did to your mother, for playing on my cowardice. Grigory's face scrunched up. The words came out of me, but I didn't think through them first. It isn't redemption without Christ. Get right with him first. It'll be a long drive to the hospital. We live in this world, but I'll see if he can hear a prayer too. We shook hands. I don't expect to see him alive again, Control. A man who trafficked that deep, well, they don't retire. But I know what I have to do next. Jack Morrow, out.